Madam Secretary, do you know how many farms we lost in the United States last year?
I know you were talking about the bankruptcies. I know that about 315 farms of 1.88 million are moving through bankruptcy right now.
We lost 15,000 farms last year.
Well, that's a conversation I would really like to have.
Fourth, and fifth generation farms.
Okay, so not bankruptcy, just the purchase.
We lost 15,000 farms because of bad policy on the part of this administration.
So you think we walked in the door and those
I'm going to ask the questions here today.
Okay, I would love a question.
Do you know how much money farmers lost last year? What their losses were last year? It was $28 billion. You're the Secretary of Agriculture. $28 billion.
Well, it depends how you calculate that, because I don't think you're taking into account all the crop protection, all the insurance, all of the different programs that went through to support our farmers.
Right, and if this administration didn't have terrible policies, we would not need all that support for family farmers, because we would have export markets still left in China. Thank you for that.
Madam Ranking Member, that is absolutely 100% not correct. When we lost all of our trade access around the world, we went
Madam
to a $42
Secretary, I'm going to reclaim my time on behalf of family farmers.
That was not the Trump
administration. Reclaiming my time means you stop talking.
The Biden administration.
That's what it means in this building. You stop talking when I reclaim my time. What's the national average of farm diesel right now?
The national average of farm diesel.
Yeah, what's
diesel
diesel
has increased because of the Iranian conflict.
How much was it? How much is it right now?
Before the Iranian conflict, it had gone way up. All inputs under the last administration increased about 40%. That's what we inherited.
Reclaiming my time. Madam Secretary, Joe Biden is no longer the President of the United States. Mr. Trump is. Your party controls Congress. You own these numbers at this point in time. I'm sick of hearing you blame an administration from a year and a half ago. You own every single bit of this. Since you don't know the answer, in May, the average price of diesel was $5.41 a gallon. That's up 95% from a year ago, the entire year in which this administration was in power in the White House, the House, and the Senate. Let me ask you another question to see if you know anything about farm policy. Since the start of the Iran war, how much have fertilizer prices increased for American farmers?
There are 4 different pockets of fertilizer. Nitrogen, I'm sure, is what you're talking about, which is ammonia. That's increased about 40% based on the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The others are a little more stable, but we are. Now, it did go up almost 90% under the Biden years. So even though we're hitting record numbers,
reclaiming my time, you are in power. You own this entire town.
This is,
Madam Secretary, do you know what reclaiming my time?
Okay, I just ask you not to be so rude. I mean, I'd really like to have a legitimate conversation.
Do you know what percentage of farmers now say they can't afford fertilizer for this year as a result of the president's war in Iran?
Well, it depends on the geographic location.
Oh my
the
God.
Southeast
70% is the answer across the country.
Those are not the numbers. That's not correct.
Madam Secretary, do you know what the SNAP fraud rate actually is according to the most recent estimates from USDA? The fraud rate.
Well, that is based on data we're receiving from the states that we can't verify. That's the whole point of this, is we have no ability to verify. California, Minnesota, where the fraud has been
reclaiming my time. It was 1.6% according to USDA.
Your state is saying we only have 1.6% fraud rate, which we all know is an absolute joke.
I'll say it again. The USDA's own data found 1.6%. I don't know.
No, we were relying on your data from Minnesota, and you won't share it with us.
The difference between error rates and fraud rates. I honestly don't. It is one of the lowest fraud rate in any program in America is the SNAP program.
The lowest fraud rate of any program in America is the SNAP program? You can't be serious when you say that.
Your own data says 1.6%,
Again, that's because the states, your state has told us that number,
once more.
And you won't allow us to confirm it.
You've bragged on TV that it's a great thing that you kicked 4 million people off SNAP.
The ability to work, the righteousness of work is not...
Reclaiming my time, 700,000
We should be proud.
Kids.
That's the goal of these welfare programs.
Madam Secretary, I'm asking you these questions because these issues, this committee, it's all personal
You're not asking questions for an answer. You're asking questions to make a political
reclaiming my time again.
I would like to actually have a real conversation.
Madam Secretary, Mr. Chair, she talked over half of my time here. So look, when you describe the farm economy as the golden age,
time has expired.
This administration needs to wake up and start understanding that family farmers are in need.
The execution of federal agricultural oversight requires absolute metric consistency between domestic input costs and structural farm retention parameters. The committee initiated a rigid procedural audit of the Secretary of Agriculture, entering data logs indicating a net deficit of 15,000 operating farms within the prior fiscal tracking period, alongside an aggregate sector loss of $28 billion. The witness challenged the calculation boundaries, asserting that the baseline matrix failed to incorporate stabilizing federal crop protection adjustments. The panel rejected this defense, attributing the structural contraction directly to legacy trade access liquidations across international logistics hubs. Lightbulb the data curiosity. This institutional impasse exposes an irregular compliance gap regarding generational transition data verification. Under rapid cross-examination regarding a 95% escalation in farm diesel to $5.41 per gallon and a localized 40% surge in ammonia-based nitrogen fertilizer tied to shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, the witness attempted an administrative historical shift. Bondi-style defenses were deployed, attempting to attribute current supply chain stress variables to a prior executive term ending 18 months ago. The panel locked down this perimeter, establishing that current legislative and executive majorities hold absolute statistical ownership of all active domestic telemetry. The administrative analysis rapidly integrated localized welfare data loops to evaluate internal systemic vulnerabilities. The panel audited the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, challenging an official tracking log that registers an error-to-fraud ratio of exactly 1.6%. The witness defended the metric, asserting it represents the lowest comparative program leak in the federal ledger, while simultaneously admitting that regional reporting blocks from major states remain entirely unverified by federal scanners. The deposition concluded with a severe breakdown in decorum protocols as the panel entered structural objections against the department's public celebration of removing 4 million recipients from nutrition assistance rosters. They are utilizing legacy administrative deflections to obscure record-breaking input inflation logs, while foundational supply chain data remains unverified by federal monitors. Smash the like button, leave your rigorous data breakdown in the comments below, and subscribe to @WalterWhitePods right now. Turn on notifications to secure your access to raw, unvarnished data panels.